Okay, walk in front.
Me?
We'll do the eraser.
Okay. So, welcome.
All right, welcome everyone to the January 25th Virginia Train Collectors Association meeting. Before we go any further, we have a presentation tonight. It is the Golden Spike Award for Outstanding Achievement as a member of the club. Bill, you sure you don't want to do this?
No, I'm not prepared. My voice is...
You can't be any more camera shy than I am.
No, it's not that. My voice is...
Okay, all right. So, the Golden Spike Award has been put together. And the Oscar goes to John Wheeler. In appreciation of devoted service, leadership, and commitment to the continued success of the Virginia Train Collectors, dated December 2023. We're going to charge you for the box.
Yeah, we'll take a picture afterwards. You want to say something? You want to say something?
I would. I'm proud of this because I've been a member of the organization for a number of years and have made some really, really good friends. I think some of us talked about this in the past. It's about trains, but it's also about making good friends. And I think a lot of us go to York every year to catch up with old friends. So I'm proud of it. It takes a lot of work to run an organization like this, and it takes a lot of volunteer work for which you don't get compensated, except through things like this and through thank yous from a lot of people. So I'm pleased that the club is grown and it's gotten better and better, and thank you very much. See you at the picnic this year.
All right, Kitty.
Can I just say something?
Okay.
I want to be serious. John's never been, in my estimation, afraid of hard work. And I can tell you, all the board meetings that I've attended, both before he was the treasurer and while he was the treasurer, you took that job on like you were a 4,500 company. You would be compensated and benefited and bonused and all those things. And he brought that energy and that commitment, and your shoes are big.
Yeah, thank you. I think if Jim Shealy could do that job for 17 years, I could do it for 7.
Yeah, but you're still mad at me for not telling you.
Oh, you're
Okay.
here. Thank you.
Teddy.
Well, I want to welcome y'all to Eastern Hanover, Virginia. This is my church, very proud of it, and very proud of this community that I live in. I grew up in Dogtown, Southside, but we moved over here. This, I'm just going to talk maybe a few minutes, and I hope the lady is watching that began this process. So I was at the Greenberg show on Sunday, and I was with a fellow club member, Ronnie, talking about standard gauge trains. He was one of the few people that had standard gauge trains, and most of the folks that were walking by were mothers and with young children, and the mothers like, "Don't touch that train, it's a $900 train." And so we were talking, and I've been thinking about Russ Dolbear a lot, and I really wanted to ask him after that talk that he gave. I got these at an auction, and he kept flashing these orange tin plate cars. He said, you know, "Don't sell those, call me." And I never got a chance to ask him about these two cars, but I was thinking about him a lot. And again, it's about, and for me, it's about the connections I make in my life. That's what I value the most, whether it's practicing law, the other lawyers and folks I deal with in the court system, or here doing things at the church or the train club. And so that's what I get out of it. I do love trains. I love this little tin plate metal. I don't know why, but it just grabs me. And this lady walks by with her phone and sees the two of us talking, and pulls up on her phone, and she goes, "Do either one of you know what this is?" And so we looked at it, and I said, it kind of looks like a 42, but that's not really a 42. And for whatever reason in my head, I said, that's a 53. And the 53 is a rare standard gauge engine. I'm going to pass this around. And it was modified at certain times. It changed the wheel configuration, but this is like a 1909, Mr. Willerman, a 1909, 1910, 1911 model, and it is rare.
Wait,
So,
can you hold it up to the camera
hold it up
first?
to the-
The camera.
It's upside down or something.
That one's not right.
Okay. Okay, hold on. I'm zooming in on the one on your right. Now I'm zooming in on the one on the left. Thank you. Thank you.
And it immediately sparked. You know, Ronnie's got a lot of personality, to say the least. He was sort of jumping up and down about it, and I was, trying to use my phone to figure out what it is. And so, it's got different vents and things. And this is, I don't know what this is. I think this is a 50, but it says 53 on it, so I bought it.
It's not a 50.
Well, it's been repainted. It looked like somebody just stamped 53 on it. I don't know if it's a real 53 or not, but that one in the picture is a lot different. It's longer. It's got different vents. It's got all kinds of things. So this is something that I picked up. I like it, but it's nowhere near that. And so we were talking. We didn't know what it was.
Now, you said you bought 4 42s at York.
Yes.
How many 53s do you want? Because I got one. You can have it.
Okay, we're talking about Russ. We had 5 people and
Always
everyone
the business
signed
man.
off.
No wonder the Clovis didn't go with the treasury, right? So the lady, we're talking about it, we don't know what it is, we kind of figure out what it is, and then she says, do y'all know Russ Dolbear? And we said yes. And so she brought out the fact that this was her grandfather's train. There was a picture of her on this series of pictures that she showed. There was a picture of her with her grandfather underneath the tree with this train, and then Russ had got his hands on it to fix it up for her, and he had I'm not going to read it all because I'm not going to take all this time, but he had done a lot.
Read his note.
He had done a lot of work on this, and it was extensive work. And he had used some of his own parts. He had gone to York to find things to fix it. There was passenger cars that went with it. He had fixed the window inserts. He'd done all kinds of little things to it. And this is what he wrote. This is the kind of person he is, and it just grabs me, especially being here tonight. After this long dissertation of what he did in detail, I have truly enjoyed the challenges that your trains presented me and the opportunity to do something nice for a nice person. I try to pay it forward whenever I can. Please accept my gift of time, effort, materials, and best wishes for you and your family's enjoyment of the world of toy trains. My only request is that given the opportunity, you pay it forward by doing something nice for someone else. Yours in the service to Jesus Christ cordially, J. Russ Dolbear, past president, Virginia Train Collectors Association.
And the date? June 8th or June
Says he
6th?
passed away 8 days after he wrote that email and finished working on the train. Isn't that something? I appreciate you listening to me. You do better.
And that's the primary article in the newsletter, which is almost done. And the reason it's late is because we're waiting for the show information, but if we're going to have a spring show, it has to be in this newsletter. So, hopefully in the next couple of days, we have some more information, and the digital version will go out, and then the printed version will go out.
I really enjoyed that meeting for that reason. Thank you very much.
Am I on?
You are.
Is this on?
Turn. Say testing. Testing. Say testing.
Test. Okay. That's more than enough.
All right, I did a similar program to the one I'm giving tonight a couple of years back. But what I was concentrating on at that time were slogans, like advertising slogans. But George and a couple other people reminded me there's a whole lot of other things that go on railroad cars that are not slogans, they're messages. And since a lot of these messages fall into a category, we're going to call that a theme. So let's look at our first photograph.
Okay, can we turn
Turn the
these
lights
lights
on.
off? Just, yeah. Correct.
All right, we're going to start with nothing. This is a typical 1930s paint scheme, Pennsylvania Railway boxcar. No slogans, no messages. You got the road name, the number, the dimensional data, and this one does have a ball keystone. All right, let's go to the next one. All right, this is one of the earliest freight cars that had a message, and it's in the Herald. The Southern serves the South. I think we got a close-up. Yeah, there's a close-up of it. This is pretty early. Most railroads were still stuck in no message, just road name and dimensional data. All right, let's go to the next one. All right, now the Seaboard is a competitor of the Southern. Southern serves the South, but Seaboard runs through the heart of the South. So we get this is a theme we got going. We've got geographical areas where these railroads are serving their customers. All right, let's try the next one. All right, we're staying with the Southern theme. Louisville, Nashville, they're the Dixie line because they serve their part of the South. If you've ever seen a map of the Louisville and Nashville, they've got Louisville and Nashville all the way down through Montgomery, Alabama, all the way down to Mobile, if I'm correct. Correct me if I'm wrong, Bill. All right, let's try the next one. All right, the Katy. This is an American Flyer car. The Katy serves the Southwest, which, if you only include Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas, then it does serve the Southwest. But it doesn't go to California, so it doesn't really serve the Southwest corner of this country. But good theme, and this is one of the first cars they use a script writing on the car.
Is that
Okay?
what MKT stands for? Missouri, Kentucky, and Tennessee?
I can't hear you.
Is that what MKT stands for?
Missouri, Kansas, Texas. MKT. So KT, it took the last two letters, KT, Katy. So that's what they did. All right. Now, can't leave the Canadians out. So same theme. Serves all Canada. All right, let's go to the next one. And here's a close-up of that. They have the maple leaf in the background. Okay? Wabash serving the heart of America. You consider Ohio and Midwest as the heart of America. Now, before Wabash had serving the heart of America, their slogan before then was "Follow the flag," because they always had the little Wabash flag on their boxcars. All right, let's go to the next one. Now, this is a good one. Northern Pacific. Instead of main line, they say Main Street of the Northwest, and that's where they're served, the Northwest. Okay, let's go to the next one. Illinois Central, main line of Mid-America. You know, they're Chicago to New Orleans, so they're right in the middle of the country.
City of New Orleans.
All right, let's go to the next one. All right, this is a B&O. I picked this car because you have a lot of the messages on hopper cars and other than box cars and reefers. You still had messages. Their message linking 13 great states with the nation. B&O. All righty. Now this is a little more obscure. Most people never heard of this railroad. Atlantic and East Carolina, and they are the Tobacco Belt Road. I don't know whether we have
Wow.
a close-up of that or not, but
No.
right here, down here, it's a Tobacco Belt Road, all right? Let's go up to the northeast, Maine Central, Pine Tree Route. That was their main commodity on their railroad, hauling pulp and paper and everything involving pine trees. So that was their, that's sort of a product theme as well as
Oh, sorry.
a geographical one. Rutland, let's go to Rutland. Rutland's Green Mountain Gateway. And you notice where the Rutland runs, they're very fortunate geographically to be able to wind their way through all these valleys without a lot of tunneling and stuff like a lot of railroads. And another car, I don't have one, I think Bill Crow had one, there's a Road of the Whippet. And people, in fact, there's one up in York. It says Route of the Whippet. And the Whippet was not a passenger train. The Whippet was a fast freight train that connected traffic coming off of the Boston and Maine to New York State. They were kind of a competitor to the Boston and Albany. But the Rutland was kind of a poor railroad. All right, let's go to the next one, see what we got. All right, same geographical area, state of Maine, Bangor and Aroostook. State of Maine products. And the #1 product was potatoes.
Yeah.
Like some of the cars, have potatoes written there where this has products. Okay, let's see what we have next. All right, now we're going to a different theme. The theme is merchandise service, or a lot of them were what we call less carload freight. So what it involved in, let's back up to the I want to contrast these two cars. They came out with merchandise service cars, and you notice it had a ball keystone. Well, in a few years later, let's go to the next slide. They come up with the shadow keystone and bigger lettering, and they simplified the merchandise service thing. So that, like I say, now railroads are going to special paint jobs for the fast freight and the less carload freight. Okay, let's go to the next one. See if we've got the. All right, the New York Central, they wanted to get in on this, so they came up with what they call Early Bird, and they got a little cartoon bird on there. Do we have a? Let's go to the next one. See if we have a close up of that. Yes, we do. New York Central Early Bird Fast Freight Service. So they got a lot of messages in one little, I don't know what you'd call it. It's not a herald, but it's like a cartoon. A little cartoon bird. All right, let's go to the next one. New York Central again, they changed their advertising, and they got Pacemaker Freight Service. I think they had a passenger train called Pacemaker. So this is one of the cases where the fast freight, they wanted to associate it with the passenger service. All right, let's go to the next one. All right, B&O, they really went all out for fast freight. They have Central Fast Freight on one side, siding to siding dependability, B&O Sentinel service with the directional signals like you saw on the B&O. So, all right, let's go to the next one. All right, here's a close-up of the Sentinel Fast Freight service. All right, let's go to the next one. All right, now this one is more familiar, especially to American flyer collectors. The Time Saver. Now this was a less carload. So look at how much information you got on that one car. Baltimore to Ohio, fast, dependable, less carload service, Time Saver service, less carload freight. So that's a lot of, and then plus you got the Comet paint scheme on there. You got the orange Comet on a blue car, which is pretty fancy. All right, let's go to the next one and see what we have. C&O, not quite as fancy. You do have the railroad name spelled out. They didn't put for progress like on a lot of C&O cars. And instead of spelling out less carload service, they just put LCL. They just assumed people knew they assumed people knew LCL was less carload. So, but still, a nice fancy paint scheme. Okay, let's go to the next one. All right, Western Maryland. There are only a few cars that were painted in this paint scheme. Now that same, what rail fans call the fireball. The railroad itself called it the Winged Herald, but like I say, everybody, rail fans and modelers call it Western Maryland Fireball, and that's a perfect example right there. All right, let's go to the next one and see what we have. And that's just the overall. I had them reversed. That's the overall car. Now, Coastline, they didn't do much. The Seaboard, we'll come to some Seaboard cars here lately. The Seaboard and the Santa Fe both advertised their passenger trains on their freight cars. So you'll have like the American Flyer has route of the Silver Meteor, and you'll see a lot of scale cars, route of the Robert E. Lee, route of the Orange Blossom Special, and some of these. But Coastline really didn't go in for it, so they just said, thanks for using Coastline. To thank all their customers who shipped freight on Coastline. So that's it for that one. Let's go to the next one, see what we sort of come into the end. And this is one of my favorites too, mainly because it's got the script lettering on here. Burlington, it's the Burlington Railway, but this is of course Burlington Refrigerator Express, and Everywhere West. And we should have the other side of that car somewhere, because the other side is Way of the Zephyrs. But let's see what we have next. Yes, we did. This is really Way of the Zephyrs. Of course, the Zephyr was the first high-speed passenger train, diesel-powered, streamlined, that went between Chicago and Denver, the first run. Broke all kinds of speed records, which kind of got railroads thinking about streamlined trains. The Union Pacific came up with streamliners, and of course the Boston and Maine, they had the Flying Yankee, which was almost identical to the Zephyr as far as the way the train looked. All right, let's try the next one, see what else we have. Okay, we're back to the Seaboard. This is the S. Helper version, but it's the same as the Flyer, same paint scheme as the Flyer Silver Meteor. This car is pretty prototypically accurate, and the Flyer car is also, except for the number, pretty prototypically accurate. All right, let's try see what else we have left. All right, another Seaboard that's not advertising passenger trains is route of courteous service. It goes in with the other theme of providing service. Instead of serving the South, they're going to give you courteous service. So they put it in bold lettering. All right, let's see what else we have next. All right, this is a good one. Lackawanna. The route of Phoebe Snow. Phoebe Snow was actually a mythological character they made up for their travel brochures. And the first one they had a little poem on it. It went something like this. It says, Phoebe Snow, who's about to go on a train to Buffalo, says, my gown stays white from morn to night upon the road of anthracite. And the point was being, since they burned anthracite coal, these sophisticated ladies could wear a white dress in an open passenger car and not get dirt and soot and smoke all over their clothes. So that was and finally after a few years of the Phoebe Snow advertising, they did name a passenger train the Phoebe Snow. So that's what they did. All right, let's go to the next one, see what we have left. Okay, then back to Seaboard. I thought this was a really good advertising scheme. Almost every other railroad just called their trails on flat cars, they just called them piggybacks. The Seaboard wanted something a little more snazzy, so they come up with a Razorback. And then they say it's raring to go. So a Razorback is a kind of hog that grows in the South. They call it Razorback because it's kind of pointed on the spine, and it's got longer legs, and it gives you those long shank country hams like Smithfield hams. That comes from a Razorback hog. So that was in keeping with a Southern cultured railroad. So you got Razorback raring to go. And a different type of lettering for Seaboard than what you see. All right, let's go to the next one, see what we got. All right, now this is an interesting, this is going back to that theme of service, but instead of the geography of the service, this is tell you they've been in business 100 years, so they provided a century of service. That's the Delaware and Hudson. And they also had another message on some of their cars that said Bridge Line to New England. So I don't think I have a picture of that. All right, let's go to the next one, see what we have. All right, we're going back to Santa Fe. Santa Fe had quite a few cars that advertised their passenger trains as well, like the Chief and the Super Chief and the Scout and the El Capitan. But this one, since the main line of the Santa Fe went through Williams, Arizona, and they had a branch line going to the Grand Canyon, they can call themselves the Grand Canyon Line because they could actually take you there. All righty, let's go to the next one. Chicago and Northwestern. All right. The Union Pacific called all their streamline trains, they just call them streamliners. But the Northwestern carried the streamliners from Omaha into Chicago. The Chicago and Northwestern also had a train called the 400 because it would run 400 miles in 400 minutes.
Wow.
It averaged 60 miles an hour, so they called it the 400. And that was Chicago, I think it was Chicago to Minneapolis?
Yes.
I think so. So they advertised 2 passenger trains on one boxcar. And that's my favorite. All right, let's go to the next one, see what we got. All right, we're backing up to Santa Fe. This is a reefer this time. El Capitan, Coach Streamliner West. The theme, of course, is advertise your passenger trains on your freight cars, so the public will see it and want to ride it, All right, let's see what we have left. All right, this is the opposite side of that same car. What makes this, what interested me in this is the map. If you can imagine how much trouble the crew in the shop had to do putting the stencils and everything on that, or to paint all that on the side of a freight car. It must have been a tremendous amount of work. But they put it almost on all of their freight cars during that time period. Ship and travel Santa Fe all the way with a map. Okay, let's try the next one, see what we have left. All right, going back to the sort of the Northeast again, Lehigh Valley, they had a passenger train called the Black Diamond, so they, pretty small lettering, but they still said route of the Black Diamond. There again, like I say, advertising your passenger trains on your freight cars. Okay, let's go to the next one. All right, now this is a Frisco. they have that's a whole car.
Right, I'll go back.
Yeah. Okay. And then here's a close-up. Symbol of superior service. See, all these other railroads like the Western Maryland, they had fast freight. B&O has fast freight. They got faster freight. So anyway, but it's unusual. Not many railroads had a beige-colored freight car during that time. They're probably the only ones. All right, let's try the next one. All right, going back to Santa Fe. Scout, economy travel west. See, make the Santa Fe, all of these cars, even though they were, every passenger train that they advertised, they made the fonts a little bit different, which cost them extra, All right, let's try the next one. Couldn't have changed. All right, here we go. Super Chief to California. Here again, the Super is in different font from Chief in California. But that's what they did. All right, let's go to the next one. All right, we're back to the B&O. We saw the time saver before with the blue car with the orange Comet. They only painted I think they painted 100 cars like that. They had several hundred just painted the simpler time saver service, but there were a lot more of these. Okay, next, Union Pacific automated railway. This is a little more modern than, it's probably the most modern thing that's on my layout. In fact, sometimes I just take it off because it looks too modern. But anyway, so but you can tell it's a more modern car. The Herald's a lot bigger on the left, and the fonts are definitely more modern than anything we've seen thus far. Okay, let's try the next one. See what we got. We're back. That's a Razorback. We saw the trailer a little while ago. That's the same trailer sitting on a flat car. That's the way they came. Alrighty. Alright, flyer car. Central of Georgia, the right way. Of course, they got the little semi-script lettering on that. That was a real popular car in flyer. It was a 980 series, a 981.
What do they mean by the right way?
Yeah.
What do they mean?
What's that?
What do they mean by the right way?
I guess everybody else is the wrong way. They're the right way. So. No, I really don't know. But they
Very conservative group.
they railroads during that time, they didn't mind boasting a little bit about their service, so they thought they were the right way. So here we go. This is one of the better Seaboard cars, Orange Blossom Special. And this is probably one of because the Orange Blossom Special, I think, was one of the first named passenger trains on the Seaboard. I think that was before the Silver Meteor and the Silver Star and the Silver whatever. This was 2 or 3 Comet, yeah. So
That was
so that's an Orange Blossom Special.
Was that New York to New Orleans? The Orange Blossom?
Was it?
Orange Blossom Special. Where'd it go to?
Miami.
To Miami or New York?
Oh yeah, they went all the way to Miami.
Okay.
But now the Seaboard didn't take it to Miami. What they did, if you ever looked at a Seaboard train like going through Main Street Station, you'd see Seaboard cars, Pennsylvania cars, but what gave it away was Florida East Coast cars, because between Jacksonville and Miami, they went over the Florida East Coast. So.
Yeah, what does it say in the center?
All right, let's go to see what's left.
What does it say in the
Not
center?
too many left.
It says through
But
the
that-
heart of the South.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same. That's the same Herald that we saw before. It's through the heart of the South again. We saw that on previous.
But not a
cars.
heart.
Yeah, it's a little heart,
Okay, it's hard to see
and
that.
it's red. And we got this is a wooden version of the Phoebe Snow, Lackawanna. So they did repaint some really old. Because this is a USRA Woodside boxcar, and there are prototype pictures of cars painted in that paint scheme, even though the cars were, you know, probably 20, 25, 30 years old when they got that paint scheme. All right, Union Pacific serves all the West. That's going back to our serving what a particular geographical area of the country. So
It says
Union
automobile.
Pacific serves all the West, except for where the Santa Fe and Northern Pacific and some of the others go. But they served a lot. All right, here's another way of the Zephyrs. You know, we saw that on the reefer, so they had it on boxcars too. And of course, this is subsidiary line, Colorado and Southern CNS. And it's a 50-foot car, so I had to put that in there. All right, let's see what's left. All right, automated railway. That's a Union Pacific. We saw the other one back a little bit. Let's go to the next. We're going to finish up the dregs. See what's left. And there's a close-up of the B&O siding dependability. We already saw that one. Lehigh Valley close-up route of the Black Diamond, which is good for that. And Robert E. Lee.
There you go.
That was one of the Seaboard's trains, and that's, you know, like I said, the part of the South. Herald again. Okay. We already talked about Florida East Coast. There's a trailer. It's Speedway to America's Playground.
Wozo.
It was a pretty straight piece of track, but they made so many stops, it was hardly a speedway.
Last
It
one.
would, like I said, it could have been a speedway if it didn't stop every 20 miles. All right,
Last one.
and this is a, saw that Chicago Northwestern with Road of the 400s and the Streamliners. This is the Union Pacific Road of the Streamliners. All their modern passenger trains were just called Streamliners.
This car designed to carry automobiles?
Was that?
That means? Designed to carry automobiles?
Still can't hear you.
Yes,
Was
automobile car.
Oh yeah, that's an automobile car. That's a double door. Right, that's a double door box car. I had to build that from a kit. That's a Pacific
How
Rail
many
Shop
cars can
car.
they get in,
Yeah.
into one of these?
How many cars go in there?
Oh, usually
Four.
cars like that with full size cars, you can get 4.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can get
There's
5.
one over a ramp,
Yeah.
which raises
Yeah,
them
because
up.
they were equipped. Usually, if you see that white line across the door, they're equipped with those ramps on the inside. So they drive one in, jack it up, and then you can put another one in under it. And then same thing on each side. And then sometimes you have room for another one in the middle. So if the big cars like Buicks and Cadillacs, you probably only get 4. But a shorter wheelbase car, you could get 5. But they were replaced probably in the, late 50s with the auto racks?
I guess so.
Probably
Yeah,
so.
late 50s, early
Well,
60s.
they ran them, and they hauled Jeeps and stuff during World War II in those cars too. All right, let's go to the next.
That was the last one.
That's the last
You have
one.
any more left? Is that it? Is that all of them? All right. Now, the way I wanted to end the program, if I could have gotten either Bob or Steve, what's his name? But I wanted to get a Southern Railway car. The more modern Southern cars, Southern gives a green light to innovations on one side of the car, but on the other side, they still have Southern serves the South, which is where we started. All right, that's all I have.
Okay. Okay, hold on.
Thank you, Sarah.
Mike? Okay, now is the show and tell.
Oh yeah, and we do have show and tell. And somebody brought in a few billboard reefers.
Well, that's fine.
We need to have a whole program just on billboard reefers
That would be something.
because it's so many of. See, I tried to restrict everything just to to what railroads put on.
Yeah, I kind of misinterpreted.
Well,
These
sorry,
are-
I didn't know.
These are
Could've been
good.
clearer.
One of the messages on the Northern Pacific Reefer was Main Street of the Northwest. George brought a PA diesel. They actually had the same thing on the side of the engine in script, which was really nice. And the RF&P Capital Cities route, you got Richmond and Washington. That's on the side of a tender, of course. And then later on, the more modern RF&P, linking north and south, which is another fits that theme of the areas they serve. So, and then Sonia brought two. What did you bring? You got Mackinac and
One is,
Detroit and Mackinac, and what has that got on it?
it says, Mackinac Max Huron route.
Okay, Huron,
Here, yes.
because
Lake
it
Huron.
goes around by Lake Huron.
All right, okay, another one.
Okay, and then here's another one that's got. Was that Detroit to Toledo?
And Ironton, and Shoreline.
Shoreline, yeah,
Yep. Expressway for Industry.
that's
I
right.
just thought that was unusual.
I'm sure it goes by Hammond, Indiana, with all the steel mills and.
We don't have interstates in Detroit. We have expressways.
Right, expressways. Although this is an expressway.
I'm
for
serious. I never heard the word interstate till I moved south.
rail. Really?
Really?
But I know roads in
They go
Michigan
through
have-
there. We call them. It's a little county
Yeah.
highway, or it's an
Well,
expressway.
they were expressways before there were interstates. Just like
Yep.
the northern part of 95. When I was a kid, there was no interstate, but I drove on the Shirley Highway. And that became part of 95. I mean, it's been all rebuilt, but that's what it was. Okay.
What else we have?
And you can see
Can you pick
See?
them up?
the difference between another one. Okay. That'll
Should I
work.
just walk along and
think
zoom
we-
in, or what?
We pretty well covered most anything, so
Well, these are
take a look
yours.
at
George, you brought some.
everything
didn't
up
you?
here.
Yes,
You want to show us?
Ernie, let's see, Ernie showed me, yes.
Okay.
Now we get into the collector aspect of it. I don't believe that, the Northern Pacific had any Alcos, did they? PAs? But this turned out, here, this came out in '56. So Lionel and American Flyer in the mid-'50s really got into, I guess, the technology of graphics got much better. So this one here, this arguably at its time was probably the best, most desirable of the streamlined passenger sets. But it proudly had on it Main Street of the Northwest, and it came out as a triple unit in 1956. Then gradually went down, double unit in 57, and in 58 was a single unit. This actually was a single unit. This is just with a single motor. Then here, this is a 2 or 3 year old Lionel piece. I don't know how many of these they made. I would guess no more than 500. What would you think, Ernie?
Where you go?
Well, Jim, yeah, how many would you think they made?
I'm not even sure there were that many.
I would agree. Russell he ordered 6 of them, didn't he? And sold them, I believe. Because here we have the RF&P 284s. And here we had on the tender had 2 slogans. I grew up on the RF&P at Laurel, and I can barely remember these. When I moved there in 51, they were phasing them out, and very quickly became all diesel service. The Richmond, Washington route, and then the Capital Cities route. So it had actually 2 slogans on there at the turn of the 50s. And here, Ernie had shown this before. So here, this is again a Lionel one. Very, very good graphics from about 5 years ago. The Pennsylvania Merchandise Service.
2 versions of the same car.
Yes, different colors with the S Helper one being more authentic.
And the size of the trucks.
Yeah, oh yes, yes, yes. And then in '56, as we mentioned, American Flyer came out with six picture box cars, and these were the pride of the line for years and years and years. 56, 57 was still pretty good years, so they were 3 digits, meaning the numbering system was 3 digits. And for collectors, these cars turned to 5 digits starting in 1958. And 58 was the real turnaround, the breaking point for both Lionel and American Flyer. And so the 5-digit ones are much rarer in American Flyer, and therefore had a higher percentage of value retained.
Anyone else?
That's it. 4 items.
Anyone else? Wayne?
Someone's in the back there.
Okay,
Oh, you mean on the billboard?
sure. As long as they're here, you might as well talk about them.
Well, I took a little different turn on this because I worked for a company that, although it wasn't a major railroad, had their own railroad cars and their own railroad lines, as did many companies. So I thought I'd show you a couple of these. Here's the company I worked for, which was the Nova Chemical Companies. Bought from that company, bought from the Dow Chemical Company, the Sclair line of plastic, which is what we sold. And so we had 7,000 of these cars in our inventory, of which we own none. We rented them all.
You leased them.
We leased them, yeah. But we literally had our own railroad. And so that's a whole nother view of railroads and what they put on the side of their cars to advertise.
Who was the leaseor?
Oh, chemical companies that would make...
No, I mean, who owned the car?
Oh, I don't know that. I never
See
did that.
who's on there.
It could have on there with the
Yeah,
same.
but Sclair is a very...
If you see
You see it a lot, actually.
TLDX cars are Pullman standard
Sure.
leasing.
And that wasn't necessarily done later in life because in Germany, many of the beer companies had their own lines. So here's BP Chemicals, which is
Yeah.
one of the largest chemical companies in the world even today, or actually petroleum company. They had their own freight car lines, and this is about a 1931 car from Germany. It's
Can you
a
hold it
fan
closer-
door, if you
closer
will.
to the
Oh,
camera
I'm sorry.
there.
It's a fan door. Actually, a very rare car because of the couplers are interesting. These are the first automatic uncoupling units ever made in the toy train industry, made by the Fandor Joseph Krauss Company.
Did they use the same mechanism in Europe and in the United States?
For these,
Uncoupling mechanism.
this was introduced very late. Dorfan picked it up because they were a sister company. And later on, of course, lots of people did it in different ways. I think Lionel's are much better because they look real, but these were the first. Here's another beer company, a Kerwagen beer wagon company, which had its own railroad.
Could you close the door so we can see?
Close the door.
Yep.
There you
There we
go.
go.
Thank God the door is still there. Because on a lot of these it's missing. And then other people tried to advertise by doing their own railroads, having their own railroads. Again, this is one made by the Lionel Company for the TCA, advertising its own railroad line. And this is a little coin that fits in the top of that. It was made in the 1960s. This was made to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the TCA, but is an intent to say that the TCA had its own railroad line, right? Which it didn't. It had one car. And then last but not least, maybe not, here's, I can't stop but do this. This is where the TCA made a replica of the Dorfan freight car. So here is an attempt to advertise Dorfan, but actually Dorfan had been out of business for about 30 years after when this car was made. but the TCA did many, many types of advertising, as we have in the BTC, advertising the BTC. And I should say the last but not least is, there's two types of this car made, I should say. This happens to be only one of them. This is, where is it? Maybe I didn't bring it. Anyway, I'm sorry to say, this is the Pittsburgh Christmas train. I thought this was something else. I thought this was, because I sold it to Bob, Donald Trump Railroad, for which there is also a competitor, which happened to win the election that year. But maybe it's because Donald Trump really didn't have a railroad and everybody knew it. So this is the Pittsburgh Christmas Railroad car, advertising the city of Pittsburgh. So the rail cars have, the point here is that rail cars have been used to make advertising bits both for themselves, railroad companies, and for their customers. One of my favorite of these is the Baby Ruth train, Lionel Baby Ruth. I think it's one of the most famous of all of them because I remember the song "The Rose and the Baby Ruth" from my days as a teenager. But the Baby Ruth car is the iconic Lionel advertisement for Baby Ruth candy bars. So people advertised their product lines and had their own railroads to service those product lines. And people advertised their own beer lines or whatever. I think you'll probably see some of those around today with more modern beer companies. And then people advertised specific things like the city of Pittsburgh or the TCA convention or a political campaign, whatever.
Okay.
I think the political campaign cars are coming back in style, Bob. You can sell them and make a lot of money on them. Anyway,
Wayne?
thank you.
Wayne?
All right, well, in all honesty, I misunderstood the
Me too.
theme tonight, so that's all right. I brought, and Ernie is absolutely correct. We could do a whole show on billboard cars. They are one incredible relic of American railroading from the turn of the 20th century up to, I think, 1937 is when they were banned by the ICC. For reasons I won't go into, we'll save it for the program.
Yep, that's all right.
But anyway, I brought a sort of, some things I kind of like. This one, just one thing about the billboard cars, the overwhelming majority were not actually owned by the railroads or the companies. They were refrigerator cars, and they were leased from a refrigerator car company. And for a fee, of course, that the company would put the company logo and advertising on the side of the car. This one, obviously, hams, bacon, and lard. I can feel my cholesterol count going up from just thinking of lard. All right. Then again, I like lard cars. I've got a whole wall full of them.
Wow.
Yeah. I've got a wall full of billboard cars, so if
Who
we ever
knew?
want to do a billboard car show, man, I got you covered. This one, everybody knows it. Good old Land O'Lakes. Yep. Still around.
Hold that up. Hold that up. Hold that up.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Okay, you got it? Here we are. And this one, Heinz, they're still around as well. Heinz 57. And there we are. Pickles, onions, and Euchred figs. Anybody have an idea what a Euchred fig is?
Turn it towards the other people.
Okay, here we go.
I don't want to fig it.
There we go. This is the second Euchred fig car I've got. The first one I got at a show. So the picture, Euchred fig. What is a Euchred fig? This was about 20 years ago. So I started calling up all the old timers that I knew. Got on the phone. Dad, what's a Euchred fig? He goes, I don't know. I know what a card game you call Euchred, but I never heard of Euchred fig. Then my wife called her mother up. Mom, what's a Euchred fig? I don't know what a Euchred fig is. Every time I ran into an old timer who thought it might have an idea. Nobody knew what a Euchred fig was. Well, anyway, I picked up a very, very good reference book on billboard cars several years back. They had the picture of the Euchred fig car in there. So I said, oh, you know what? I emailed the publisher. And the publisher put me in contact with the author. And the author very graciously emailed me back, told me what it was. A Euchred fig is a fig reduced to a compote. And that's strictly kind of a Midwestern term. You know, nobody else in the country apparently uses it. So I can die happy now. I know what a Euchred fig is. Of course, part of the mystery's gone out of my life. I've got to find something else. And this one, honestly, I don't know if this outfit ever really existed. I've tried to research, but I can't find them anywhere. But it's a milk car. It's from the Ramapo Valley Creamery. Ramapo Valley is up in the border of northern New Jersey and southern border of New York State. I'm from that part of the country, so as soon as I saw Ramapo Valley Creamery, that triggered the thing. Oh, I've got to get that car. So anyway, it's a good-looking car. It was made by Williams. Williams only made it for 1 year. If I'd known that was going to be the case, I'd have bought a lot more of them. So I don't know if there was a Ramapo Valley Creamery. I don't know if there was a Riverside Fresh Milk or Fresh Cream, but it's a good-looking car. So,
Probably was.
yeah, so it's a nice one. And if anybody sees one around, grab it for me. I'll reimburse you for it. And that's all I've got.
So we can thank Ernie and
Oh yeah, well Ernie, thanks for bringing in your treasure trove. John, thanks for bringing in what you brought in. And Ernie, especially thank you for bringing in that R&P locomotive. I'm about to repaint something in an R&P scheme.
Thank Sonia for
Oh,
all this
oh,
technology support.
yeah.
Because I had a bunch of random photos.
Okay, well in terms of that's going to be a little
She organized.
something of a research aid for where I'm going to go to with my little project. So I think that's about it.
Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you all for yes.
Can I share a childhood trade memory?
Oh, absolutely. That's why we're here.
Rekindled here. I grew, I grew up just outside of Washington, D.C., like 7 miles into the Maryland suburbs, and 35 miles from Baltimore, Maryland. So when we would go into D.C. quite often, I passed the New York Avenue Railroad Yard. It had Pennsylvania on the back with the electric overhead lines, and in the front there was every diesel that served the East Coast. You know all the road names: R&P, Atlantic Coast Line, Baltimore, Ohio, Seaboard, just about everybody. So, and the traffic there would be 3 in Ohio. But it always fascinated me, and this is where I'm going with my rambling here, that you had Baltimore, which I understood to be a city in Maryland, but then we had this state called Ohio, and the two didn't make sense. It should have been like Baltimore and Cincinnati to my logical way of youthful thinking. So I figured that it just didn't work after they named it the Baltimore and Ohio, so they cut it short to the B&O so nobody be scratching their head like I was. So that's just my 2 cents. But that's a memory that is and I want to add before I stop talking, it amazes me how Ernie can just go on and on about all the stuff that man said. Thank God he took that correspondence course on getting over his shyness. You did a great job, Ernie. Thank you.